We start with some politics now, and 3 more flag-bearer aspirants have filed nominations, bringing the total number to 8. Now, Kwabena Ejapong, Kennedy Ejapong, and Kojo Poku were at the party headquarters, each promising to overturn the fortunes of the country if elected to lead the party. Here's a report.
The massive crowd cheered as he came with a message of hope for all. And as he filed his nomination forms, the hugely popular Member of Parliament for Assin Central made statements hailing himself as a master of practicality.
I'm a pragmatic person. I believe in practical things. What I saw in Volta region, what I saw in Afram Plains area and Northern region, believe me, that we can change this country. We have arable lands in Volta region. They have advantage. I'm surprised that they have always voted for NDC and they don't do anything.
Kennedy Ejapong, who was first elected a Member of Parliament in 2000, has since retained his position for the past 23 years. He is viewed as a major force in the race for the MPP presidential slot, with polls claiming he is third favourite behind Vice President Baumia and former Trade Minister Alan Tremanting. Ejapong thinks even more highly of himself and says he believes he is the party's best bet in the coming election. And to prove that, he had 20 constituency chairmen with him as he filed his nomination at the party headquarters to show their support.
Fellow Ghanaians, we have to make sure that we change this country. And that is what I stand for. I don't believe in theory. Your inflation will work only when we've been able to stabilize prices.
Kennedy Ejapong, among other things, promised to reduce the unemployment rate and increase exports.
I have to admit that the challenge of the government and the successive governments had been unemployment. And therefore, I've taken it upon myself to make sure I reduce unemployment rate in this country.
But he was not alone. 2 other flag-bearer aspirants also filed their nomination forms. Former MPP General Secretary Kwabena Ejapong is making another bid for the MPP presidential slot.
I think we have an onerous duty as a country to reorient ourselves, to recalibrate our values, okay? And I want to lead a lean government machinery, effective, efficient, that delivers to the satisfaction of the Ghanaian people, and also to impose law, order, and discipline, and goes with a drastic penalty regime to make it unattractive for potential offenders.
Kojo Poku, an energy expert, was third to file his nomination forms and wants the party to make a choice based purely on ideas.
It is not about the personality, but ideas. I entreat all my colleagues in this process to make this election about a contest of ideas, a contest to change our party, a contest to change our nation.
Well, it's evidence that the onus lies on delegates to decide who becomes their flag bearer. And we're yet to see how all this will pan out in the primaries in November. But for now, it's 8 down, 3 more to go. Judith Awachitando, TV3 News, NPP Headquarters, Accra. Now, still in politics, the Member of Parliament for the Bolgatanga Central constituency, Isaac Adongo, has dared the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, for a debate on the economy, indicating that the new Patriotic Party flag-bearer hopeful has contributed nothing in its 6 years in office. Now, the National Democratic Congress MP said the Vice President has moved from talking about the economy to singing the song of digitalization, whose building blocks were laid by the NDC government.
Now economy has shaped you, you move to Yahoo, you say you are doing digitalization. He should come and he should tell us his track record in building infrastructure for digitalization. 1, I want you people to tell him that the days when we didn't know him and we gave him the benefit of the doubt is long gone. He has a record. And anytime he is ready, wake me up from sleep. He can choose his own venue. He can choose his own moderator. In fact, he can come with his books for reference. But just wake me up from sleep and say, Baumia say he wants to debate his vision and his knowledge about the economy and digitalization, and I'll meet him. We will respond to him for every unguided and lying statements he would make. If MPP decide to choose him as flag bearer, that's their problem. But he must be factual. He must not take the people of Ghana for granted.
Meanwhile, spokesperson of the Vice President, Dr. Gideon Baku, says the Vice President is open to a debate with the flag bearer of the NDC, John Mahama, instead of the minority. He was responding to the challenge thrown to the Vice President for a debate by the MP for Bolgatanga Central.
The minority should debate the majority. Vice President Baumia is going to contest John Mahama. He is interested in debating John Mahama and not Adongo. Adongo should go and debate his colleagues in Parliament. Vice President Baumia is not going to contest with Adongo and the minority. He is going to contest with President Mahama. We want to see Mahama come face to face with Vice President Baumia. Let each one of them come and talk about their records in government and debate their performances on the economy. That debate, I can assure you, we are ready for.
On to some more stories. Private legal practitioner Bobby Bunsen has admonished citizens to trust and allow state institutions to deliver on their mandate. Reacting to the arrest and bail granted Charles Bisu, former secretary of the dissolved Inter-Ministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Bobby Bunsen said the OSP should be allowed to operate within the remits of the law.
When Mr. Bisu went to the OSP, he was granted bail. Earlier, it was presented as if once the OSP invites you, it means you've been found guilty. But the OSP did their work, gave him bail. We don't know the bail condition. I believe the OSP had to issue a public communique because of the circumstances that surrounded Mr. Frimpong Boaten's invitation. At the end of the day, the special prosecutor is not a judge. He only investigates, he lays his facts, he prosecutes. If Mr. Bisu has a defense, there's a court of competent jurisdiction that will look at his defense and decide whether he's guilty or not. So let's allow the institutions that we have set up by our constitution or in our other statutes to carry out their role. And I believe that it will be for the betterment of the whole society.
Now, labor unions at the Tema Oil Refinery TOR are divided over government's decision to lease the state-owned company to Trentco Asset Management for 6 years, while TOR Senior Staff Union of the UNICOF believe the proposed partner meets the requirements to turn around the fortunes of the refinery. TOR Senior Staff Union of the General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Union says the proposed strategic partner lacks credibility and the capacity to operate that refinery. George Queenin has more.
Leadership of the unionized staff of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation were informed at the meeting that the earlier directive for Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to restore their allowances still stands because the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission had failed to facilitate the process.
Ben, I begin to sense that you look so disappointed.
Of course, I'll not be happy. I'm not happy. And it's not right. It's a shame to us all, also because we've all worked hard to build the industrial relations system that we have. It was not like this, but we've improved upon it. So it's quite sad to see a state institution behaving like this.
The Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission, Ofosu Asamoah, indicated that the National Labour Commission had sought legal redress.
Fair wages in this case did not comply with the directive of the Commission and today have failed to attend upon the Commission without any notice. So the Commission has directed the legal department to go to a high court and enforce this directive against Fair Wages and Salaries Commission.
Well, that was a story on the National Labour Commission that has sent the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to court for defying orders to restore GPC staff allowances. The Executive Secretary of the Commission, Ofosu Asamoah, made this known after the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission failed to attend meetings to resolve the matter. And that was our Labour correspondent, Daniel Opoku, reporting on that a bit. But let's move on to some other stories. Of course, we'll bring you back the story on the labor unions at the Tema Oil Refinery, TOR, who are divided over government's decision to lease the state-owned company to Trentco Asset Management for 6 years. Now, while TOR Senior Staff Union of the UNICOF believe the proposed partner meets the requirements to turn around the fortunes of the refinery, TOR Senior Staff Union of the General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Union says the proposed strategic partner lacks credibility and the capacity to operate the refinery. Here's a report by George Queening.
The controversies surrounding the lease agreement for the operationalization of the Tema Oil Refinery for 6 years with Trentco Asset Management have heightened. It's now a fierce battle between two unions of the refinery. That's the Senior Staff Union of UNICOF and the Senior Staff Union of the General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union. As it stands now, both only agree on the fact that a strategic partner is required to turn around the fortunes of the company. Aside that, a whole lot is involved.
This is what is the most credible thing on table now. Let's start with it. If there's any person who thinks that he has a better offer, write to the board. There's a clause that you can buy them off and take over. So what is the big deal about all these things?
If you get to a certain age and you are being pushed to marry, do you just rush into anybody to get married to? At least not that I'm in the time of getting married, so I'll just rush into it. The question is this. What is it? That is why there's a due diligence report. What are those questions? What has those questions been raised? And what are the answers to it? And we are asking the simple question, whatever has come out of the due diligence report, let those questions be answered. And whatever somebody knows that we don't know, that thing has to be said so that we know that a deal is either for us or if not, there are other options that have also been on table. Why don't we all put all those things on table? Why don't we have a listen here to it?
On the other hand, the Senior Staff Union of UNICOF are saying that workers are tired of the refinery story and they want it solved once and for all. And so Trentco is best placed for the job.
We know where all these noises are coming from. And we do believe that there are some big men who wanted to control the economic interests of the refinery and could not get. And so let me create all these hula baloo and destroy it at all costs. But I think it's not proper. The refinery should be allowed to run. Let's have our peace for once. What kind of thing is this?
Until a strategic partner is secured for the operationalization of the refinery, TOR would have to deal with huge indebtedness to GRA and other statutory organizations, product accounting losses, and a debt overhang of some $500 million. George Queening, TV3 News, Tema.
Now, the NDC parliamentary candidates for Assin North, James Kwesing, has been given the green light to campaign ahead of the much-anticipated by-election on June 27. This was after an Accra High Court adjourned the ruling on an application to halt his criminal trial, despite his request to be absent on the day granted. Lord Dido Asari sat through proceedings and reports.
Lead counsel for Kwesing, lawyer Chachichi Kata, filed a supplementary affidavit arguing that the Attorney General had made prejudicial comments and had shown no respect to legal etiquette with his statements within the courts, outside and during press interviews. Citing Article 5513, lawyer Chachichi Kata explained that per provisions of the Constitution and the Supreme Court, the accused person has the right to take part in the election that was being conducted by the Electoral Commission, thereby making it a national assignment. But Attorney General Godfrey Yeboah-Dame objected, noting that the application to vary the adjournment date will mitigate against the rights of the accused person in respect of a fair and speedy trial. Presiding Judge Mary Mami Ekuye-Yanzu adjourned the hearing to Friday, June 23, to rule on the application to halt the perjury trial of the deposed Assin North MP on a daily basis, but granted him permission to be absent on the day of the hearing. Deputy Attorney General Alfred Chiayeboa responded to allegations of prejudicial statements against the AG.
They've never laid any basis. There's nothing to hold on to. It's being made out of frustration and nothing else. The AG has done absolutely nothing wrong. His comments have been on point, and if they think something on top has been done by the AG, they know what to do. But there's nothing at stake.
The Director of Legal Affairs of the NDC, Ibrahim Omaleba, spoke to the media.
On the 23rd, the court, in its own wisdom, dispensed of his presence in court, which means that effectively he is supposed to come after the elections. And so clearly, we want to be thankful to the court. This evening, he's going back. The people of Assin North should prepare to receive him. There's going to be a big welcome from the hands of the government that is persecuting him. So his entry into Assin North this night will be a big welcome.
James Jachikoisen was full of praise for party enthusiasts who came to support him.
Yeah. You know my people are excited. You saw them on the roadside already. So. Even these are not from my constituent, but you see, they have come all the way.
Lodi Dwasari, TV3 News, Accra.
Now, on the international front, 37 people have been injured, 4 of them seriously, after a large explosion in central Paris. Now, the blast took place in a building that housed a design school and the Catholic education system headquarters in the French capital. Emergency workers are searching through the wreckage of the building, with at least 2 thought to be missing. According to witnesses, there was a strong smell of gas before the blast. Paris prosecutor Legal Baku said after arriving at the scene that initial checks of camera footage suggested the explosion occurred within the building, which was next to the Val de Grace church. However, the authorities have said that the cause of the blast has not yet been determined.